I got blood on my dick cause I fucked the corpse.
I'm a nasty nigga.
When you pass me, nigga, look me in my eye and tell me to my fucking face you ain't ready to die.
The feud officially began with Like That. Kendrick declares, "Fuck the big three, it's just Big Me." A direct attack on Drake and J. Cole. Because for 10 years, the three of them have been the biggest rappers alive, defining the pop rap landscape. But Kendrick clearly doesn't believe in any of that. But if you rewind 14 years back, this is the first time Kendrick met Cole. They were at an all-day shoot for the 2010 XXL freshman issue. J. Cole was going to be featured on the cover. He had just been signed to Roc Nation earlier that year. But Kendrick, he wasn't going to be. He wasn't even signed to a major label yet. He actually ended up describing this meeting in his 2010 song, The Heart Part 1.
J. Cole running late, if he don't show up, think I can take his place? Ladies start laughing, no pun intended, I ain't being sarcastic. Homie popped up with about 20 bags in, fresh off the plane, I couldn't even complain. My nigga was on his hustle, I introduced him my name, said I see him on the bubble in the future. My dude, I salute you, contributing the real shit, talk about it, make the people talk about it.
They even started working on a joint project together, but even though it instantly became the most highly anticipated mixtape ever, it was eventually set aside and nothing was released. J. Cole and Kendrick have always had mutual respect and considered each other friends. Even back in the day when J. Cole was getting some buzz and Kendrick hadn't yet, he gave his career a huge boost by pushing Dr. Dre to sign Kendrick to his label behind the scenes and then keeping it a secret for years without taking any credit at all. But now, after J. Cole walked out on the beef without even trying, the question is, by backing out of the feud, did he also lose out on his chance at being one of the best? Is this the end of J. Cole? Is his reputation cooked? Did he lose, or in some way, is he the true winner in the end? The Spirit of Creativity, which is the latest piece from my jewelry line, is finally back in stock. I made this brand and these necklaces to remind everyone that the only way to reach your goal is to just keep going. The jewelry is a meaningful reminder that the journey of life is the reward. The Spirit of Creativity is a solid silver pendant painted with a brilliant blue enamel background and fastened with deep blue gemstones, and we just relaunched it after we completely sold out last month. I've been on YouTube inspiring people with stories for 5 years now, and I'm making my own creations and my own brand to continue that mission. I've seen enough to know that you aren't going to get lucky. You aren't going to blow up overnight. You aren't going to walk into heaven without having gone through hell to get there. That's why I wear these necklaces every single day. The power of the necklace reminds me that the only thing crazier than focusing on my goals is sitting on my ass doing nothing. We're all sitting here watching videos about successful artists and people who make music that changes the world. I want to motivate all of you to pursue your own dreams and never give up. The necklace is a symbol of that belief. There isn't success without failure. Whatever you want to be, a rapper, a producer, a photographer, student, writer, entrepreneur, anything. The sun rises every day and we all get a new chance to work hard and embrace our own adventure, and Spirit World is the jewelry that represents that story. Shipping is free in the US forever, so go to spiritworld.store to buy a necklace now or stick till the end for a discount code that's just for my viewers. Most people seem to agree that J. Cole made the right choice by backing out. The beef got so dark and ugly that the only way to keep his dignity was to just not play the game at all. We've all seen the memes. Obviously, there was the photo on the beach, and that makes sense, especially with him kind of being on Drake's side by default and then seeing all of this. The beef got bigger than hip-hop itself. The fact that the Wikipedia page for it lists combatants and casualties like it's World War II says it all. And let's be real, Drake ended up losing. Even academics couldn't hide it.
Like pretty little young thing. Oh, alright, that does not age well. That bar don't age well, I ain't gonna lie to you.
You guys know I'm a Drake hater, but even I feel kind of bad for him. Because Toronto switched sides. Even some of Drake's friends couldn't deny that he took the L, and it seemed like a lot of rappers he had a really strong relationship with started piling on to him just because it was the trending topic of the week. After the 2018 Pusha T beef, LeBron said this to Drake.
What'd I tell you?
You said that I can never let you down.
Now that same guy is dancing to Not Like Us. Kendrick won, and he won big. Not Like Us became the fastest growing rap song on Spotify ever. A song about how Drake is a culture vulture and a pedophile broke major records previously held by Drake himself. The beef was so big that Kendrick Lamar's career got a second wind. Damn, despite being released 7 years ago, started getting more daily streams than any Drake album on Spotify. His daily streaming numbers were more than Drake and J. Cole combined. But the win is also culturally symbolic. The beef finds Kendrick Lamar, whose music many people consider to be the artistic and storytelling peak of hip-hop, throwing out its biggest commercial star, someone who, despite being half black, is considered by many to be an exploitative opportunist, someone who's diluted the art form by taking advantage of stereotypes without offering anything of value in return. And so people are saying that after the feud, hip-hop gets a new life, that maybe hip-hop can be saved after all and not be lost to the oncoming wave of 70% white listeners and hordes of white commentators, maybe including myself. So while he might have made the right move, J. Cole clearly still got humiliated, right? Kendrick and Drake got more publicity than ever for a battle over the soul of hip-hop, and J. Cole is out here apologizing for being mean on stage and then sitting on the beach doing nothing. Backing out of the beef the way he did is a pretty big point against J. Cole. It's a strong evidence for him being the weakest out of the big three, not a truly great rapper, and whatever other criticisms people have been saying against him for years, that all holds more ground than ever before, which isn't a good look when he's on the verge of his biggest project yet, possibly the magnum opus and the swan song of his entire career. But at the same time, I think there's a lot more to it than just that. In the middle of the feud, somehow even more people ended up getting exposed. No one came out looking good, even people who weren't involved to begin with.
Well, because there are rumors about you and various famous men. Travis Scott.
When I was younger. Oh wait, actually I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this game.
There are still even unanswered questions about Kendrick Lamar himself. Despite his win, all we realized is that we'll never truly know what goes on in his private life. It's no surprise that J. Cole is basically the only one who got out without being exposed for anything personal. I wonder if him being a regular decent guy is what hurts him more than anything. As the dust settles from the beef, it seems like all that matters is being extreme and compelling. Kendrick and Drake are both extreme on opposite ends. That's why they're both compelling hero and villain figures depending on what angle you look from. Kendrick is maximalist with his grand concepts, cinematic music, innovative musicality. He challenges the listener, and at every moment, it's always clear he isn't a normal person. He's this distant, creative genius who stays far away from the spotlight until he suddenly decides not to. He charges up and then lets loose until it's time to go away again. It seems like he doesn't care much about being famous at all. It's just a side effect of his need to create music. Drake, on the other hand, loves the spotlight. He's obsessed with numbers and achievements, and it seems like he would do or say just about anything to make his music blow up. It's clear that he sees the way to be the best rapper is to sell the most records. He really wants to be the winner. More than a challenging outlet for his deepest thoughts and perspectives, he capitalizes on being entertaining and enjoyable. J. Cole, though, strikes a balance between pleasant pop like Drake and the complexity and political themes of Kendrick. He's always been the middle child in the big three, just not fitting into either extreme. He doesn't have a Pulitzer, and he isn't tied with Michael Jackson for the most #1 hits. A lot of people will label him as being mid, saying that he doesn't have a classic album and can't hold a candle to Kendrick's lyrics. People also love pointing out that he's not as good at making pop hits as Drake is. He's not even close. I think what put J. Cole in the big three to begin with is mainly his fan base. Something about his music speaks deeply to a lot of people. His longevity and his presence has been going just as strong as the other two in the big three. He has just as many hardcore fans as they do, no matter how many times people want to put him down and say he doesn't. He's the underdog that people love to root for. But now, when he finally got his chance to prove himself and come head to head with his two biggest rivals across his whole career, these people he's been competing with for over a decade, it was crickets. Nothing happened at all. J. Cole backed away immediately. But at the same time, what I realized was that J. Cole getting booted from the big three might finally allow him to make the best music of his career, and it might finally let him be himself. Number 1, Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, the reluctant hero.
You make it out, and then you rap, a friend never leaves Compton for profit.
It's definitely survivor's guilt. 3 of my homeboys that summertime, was murdered. Close ones too, not just somebody that I hear about. These people I grow up with. Messes your brain up because you live in this life. I gotta get back off that tour bus and go to these funerals, and go talk to my moms and talk to their aunties, kids that lost their lives.
Number 2, Aubrey Drake Graham, the hollow champion.
Yeah, so man's like you were going to that, and then just means like the group.
Crew.
That's interesting.
It's not. It's really ignorant.
This is the living room, and it's nice and elegant, and
I kind of leave this alone. It's too much for me.
And finally, Jermaine Lamar Cole, the everyman.
Cause at my job I didn't do shit, nigga. I was matter of fact, I was telemarketing, but I never made no calls. I was just always on the internet, on the fucking rap blogs and shit. And I think it was All Hip Hop or something. They had I always knew I was gonna make it, but it was just about when. So when I graduated, all my friends from St. John's went and got they like 9-to-5 jobs, and they was making like $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, and I was like broke, and I was working at a job making $10 an hour, but I'm trying to pay rent, so I'm grown now.
Kendrick is the hero that overcomes poverty and gang violence to become the voice of a movement. Drake is the entertainer, always wearing a mask and making the most noise, even if by the end of it, his real self is unrecognizable. But you can see how J. Cole is really somewhere in the middle, between the extreme ends of Kendrick and Drake. He was a regular kid who went to college and then chased his dreams and eventually made it. After years of on and off tension and love-hate friendship, the story goes that Drake wanted to unite the big three on first-person shooter. But Kendrick Lamar had other plans. Some people have said that he refused the offer, and others say that he sent in a kind of trolling Control type verse at the last minute. And Drake couldn't include that. Regardless though, J. Cole and Drake made the song anyway, and on it, they both sent some shots over to Kendrick. And we all know what happened next. Months later, Future and Metro Boomin drop We Don't Trust You. Kendrick is featured on the song Like That, and he delivers this infamous line, "Fuck the big three, it's just big me." And that's the moment that triggered the fall off of J. Cole. The whole world was shook by Kendrick's attack. People didn't think it would ever happen. Even Drake was too stunned to say anything.
I got my fucking head up high, my back straight, I'm 10 fucking toes down in Florida or anywhere else I go, and I know that no matter what, it's not a nigga on this earth that can ever fuck with me in my life.
But J. Cole, he dropped an album 13 days later. Unfortunately though, the project was okay at best. A few good songs and a few stinkers. It was clearly thrown together. It was very obviously designed to capitalize on the diss track 7 Minute Drill.
I got a phone call, they say that somebody dissing, you want some attention, it come with extensions. My dog like say the word, he on bullshit, he itching, I'm putting so much work in these streets, he got pension. I told him chill out, how I look having henchmen, if shots get to popping, I'm the one doing the clinching.
And of course people were excited that the beef was finally getting fired up. But with lyrics about J. Cole holding off shooters from attacking Kendrick, it didn't feel realistic or authentic at all. And then on the other hand, when he did actually kind of address Kendrick directly, the disses were soft and padded. Every time he said something negative against Kendrick, he would immediately follow it up by saying he likes Kendrick and respects him. It felt like J. Cole was hesitant and honestly regretted making the song before he even dropped it.
He averaging one hard burst like every 30 months or something. If he wasn't dissing, then we wouldn't be discussing him. Lord, don't make me have to smoke this nigga cause I fuck with him. But push come to shove on this mic, I will humble him. I'm Nino with this thing, this that.
So many people called him out that not even 2 days later, J. Cole admitted it.
So I felt conflicted because I'm like, bro, I know I don't really feel no way, but the world want to see blood. I moved in a way that I feel spiritually feel bad on me. Like that shit disrupts my fucking peace. How many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers to ever touch a fucking microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
Everyone lost their shit. The one thing you can't do, the one thing that no one in their right mind would ever do, is take back a diss.
He really apologized. But somebody pinched me, boy, I gotta be dreaming.
And even though J. Cole backed out mainly because he didn't want to disrespect Kendrick, his longtime friend and his colleague, Kendrick didn't spare him later down the road. He still sent out shots against him in Euphoria. All of that noble apologizing, and J. Cole ends up as nothing but collateral damage. You can't be the greatest if you bring a pool noodle to a sword fight. He went from being in the big three to getting laughed off the stage. But then the beef took a dark turn. It became less of a rap battle and more about Drake and Kendrick's deep-rooted personal vendettas. They weren't trying to beat each other at rap, they were trying to destroy each other. The story goes that someone spoke to J. Cole and told him that this wasn't actually a competitive contest. Kendrick really hated Drake and was going for his throat. The feud wasn't about who's the best, it was more about Kendrick wanting to destroy Drake. J. Cole stepping out of the beef might have been very, very much for his own good. The issue is, even though J. Cole made the right move, his persona is still damaged for good. Drake and Kendrick doubled down on their lanes. In some people's eyes, Kendrick is the voice of morals and Drake is the villain. For other people, Drake is fun and danceable and enjoyable, and Kendrick isn't. But ultimately, no one's career is ruined. Things will still go on like normal, and the real winners are the artists who made millions of dollars from the beef. I mean, Kendrick literally bought a brand new $40 million home just a few days after dropping Not Like Us. And Drake, we all know how he lives. That isn't about to change. But the point I'm making isn't about money. What I'm saying is that ultimately, the beef isn't a battle of good versus evil. It's an exhibition match where everyone involved technically wins because they're all making money from it. While some people might have lost their dignity, everyone made a profit. It's kind of exactly like the aftermath of Drake's beef with Pusha T. Drake was quiet for a minute, but then he eventually gets redeemed when he drops more fun music for partying, late night drives, and whatever else. Ultimately, he's so big that no one really cares. At the end of the day, this was just another moment meant to satisfy consumers and spectators. There are truths in the beef, but it doesn't matter to the vast majority of people enough to change our habits, especially when, like I've said before, 70% of hip-hop fans are white. When it comes to Kendrick defending the cultural legacy of his genre, most of the people he's rapping to are objectively even more outsiders than Drake himself. Why do any of hip-hop's biggest consumers really care about its integrity and soul when they're just listening for fun? Almost everyone who took a side in this beef got some dirt exposed on them. You saw the clips at the start of the video. And in certain cases, the people who sided against Drake got exposed for doing the very things they were accusing him of doing. Like I said, losing the beef might end up truly being a win for J. Cole. It might give him a chance to make his best work, and I think that's because he did what was best for him as a person. You can look at the bloodshed, the cost that everyone had to pay for the beef, and you see J. Cole doesn't have to worry about any of that because he didn't do what a rapper should do, he did what a person should do. And if you're a fan of J. Cole, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. He's been putting this message in his music even 10 years ago on 2014 Forest Hills Drive. If you listen to the song Love Yours, you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. His music has always been about focusing on what's really important, and so has the story of his life. Drake gave up his life for fame years ago. It actually seems like he was excited to do it, and Kendrick, whether or not he wanted to, he's afflicted by the same curse. He got put on a pedestal so high that he had to go into hiding for years to deal with the stress. He had to make an entire album talking about climbing down from the pedestal that people put him on, essentially saying, hey, you guys idolized me way too much. You need to stop. I'm not the hero that you thought I was. In a way, Drake and Kendrick are both kind of not real people. Over time, they've come to represent two different opposing ideas, but still both of them are more concept and discussion than they are person at this point. But J. Cole, though, he's the everyman. He's the guy who had regular jobs. He went to college for computer science, has a passion for basketball, and got married at the peak of his fame. He lives a normal life behind closed doors, living in North Carolina, visiting New York City, riding his bicycle around the neighborhoods instead of having a bodyguard drive him around. A while back, I said that losing the beef might give J. Cole the freedom to make his best work. And I think that's because he did what was best for him. He did what a person should do, and it only further solidifies his reputation as the everyman artist. And that's where J. Cole shines. I also think it's where a 7-year-old prediction comes through from the song False Prophets. The song is about this exact video. As a fan, seeing your beloved artists and idols turn out to be frauds or monsters, you can start questioning whether all of the emotions and the inspiration you experience and take from them are actually just a result of deception and manipulation.
My highest moments come from telling all the saddest stories I've seen in my life. I be fiending to write songs that raise a hair on my arms. My lowest moments came from trying too hard to impress some niggas that couldn't care for more. Therefore, from here on out, my hair grow out. I care nothing about opinions.
It asks the question, is the relationship between the artist and the audience built on a lie? In the song, J. Cole mainly addressed disappointment as an old fan of Kanye, but he also talks about how he fears that he could be a false prophet to his own fans. And on False Prophets, he predicted that the pressure that artists feel to be the man could end up being his downfall. But after looking into the story around all of this, I have to say that there's probably no artist alive who's been more true to his fans than J. Cole. With Kendrick, there's a distance because of his unusual origin, his heroic trajectory, and his complex brilliance. You can feel that he's not a relatable, normal guy, and that itself had huge consequences for his public persona. It's a big part of why people started to worship him, especially in the realm of American politics, and he ended up taking years off from his recording career. With Drake, he seems even further, but that's mostly because he's not even a real person. Drake is more of a persona invented by Aubrey Graham to sell hip-hop songs. So I've showed you the journey of the big three, and it seems like in a lot of ways, J. Cole is the one who still looks like a regular person trying to make music and follow his dreams. He's always been a regular guy who worked to become exceptional. And I think that goes back to his reputation as a musician as well. J. Cole is solidly, clearly in the big three, whether his critics want to admit it or not. But he's also obviously in last place, and that's not something he's ever denied at all. However, it doesn't really matter, because J. Cole has always been the most human, the most consistent, and the most relatable. Even back in 2013, he got into an argument with Diddy because Diddy was trying to pour a drink over Kendrick's head at a public event. What kind of person would take the time to go out of their way to defend what's right, especially in the entertainment world when almost no one would do that at all? In 2017, he was feuding with Lil Pump, but he not only stopped his concert attendees from yelling "fuck Lil Pump" into the stage, but he also invited Lil Pump to have a conversation and an interview with him so that they could get to know each other better and come to understand each other's perspectives. Like I said, J. Cole has always been the most human and the most consistent. Songs like Love Yours and Apparently and Hello are unmatched. The song Love Yours tells an incredible story about appreciating who you are and what you are, instead of always wanting to be something else.
No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Think being broke was better. Life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. For what's money without happiness? Or hard times without the people you love? Though I'm not sure what's about to happen next, I ask for strength from the Lord up above.
It takes a crazy amount of character to be a celebrity and make songs about appreciating life for what it is instead of wanting more. And not only to make that song, but to live it out in your actual real life. The album itself, 2014 Forest Hills Drive, the address of his childhood home. He ended up buying back that home after he found success and letting single mothers live in it for free so they could experience less financial stress. What I'm saying is that it's wrong to only praise J. Cole for avoiding drama in pursuit of peace. He didn't take the coward's way out. He did what he's been doing his entire career. It's the foundation of his success. He stuck to his own personal values. He protected himself and minded his own business instead of throwing his name into a meat grinder for engagement.
But when I was young, I thought that success was all I needed. That's what was gonna bring the happiness. Buying my mom a house, being the fame, the accolades, having people say, yo, you are the best in the game. I thought those would be the things that would bring happiness. And then when those things came, the happiness wasn't there. And I realized there was such an attempt to achieve these things and to keep going that you lose sight of the people and the blessings that you have around you. You're so focused on the next success, the next step in your career, and you forget the fact that you have these things that seem small if you're looking that way. But if you look this way, you realize that the only thing that matters, and that's your mother, that's your family, that's love, and that's what that song is about.
And really, he knows that Kendrick Lamar is a great artist. He knows that Kendrick's discography is really good, and a lot of people feel that it's better than his. And clearly, he didn't want to betray his own opinions and go against that. No matter what happened in the rap beef, I think if J. Cole continues to work on his next project and continues to follow his spirit and what he knows is right, The Fall Off, his next album that he's been teasing for over 6 years, will probably be his best work. Whereas Drake is known for being entertaining, loud, bombastic, and Kendrick is known for being a sharp, moral voice, J. Cole understands us, the listeners, because he's a lot like us. He's become someone where you can always expect his music to apply to something that you're actually going through. He doesn't feed into bullshit, he just feeds the fans. And it's proven to be a winning strategy over and over. No matter what people say about him, J. Cole is a good person who does the right thing. He stays true to himself, even when it costs him his reputation. So maybe, yeah, now he can't claim to be the GOAT anymore, he can't be the head of the big three, he can't be the top dog. But if being the GOAT means that you have to abandon your own principles, why even bother in the first place? One of my favorite lyrics J. Cole ever wrote is "No such thing as a life that's better than yours." And it might just be a random line from a song, but it ended up being a huge inspiration for The Spirit of Creativity, the latest piece from my jewelry brand Spirit World. I made this brand and these necklaces to remind everyone that the only way to reach your goal is to just keep going. The jewelry is a meaningful reminder that the journey of life is the reward. The Spirit of Creativity is a solid silver pendant painted with a brilliant blue enamel background and fastened with deep blue gemstones. And we just relaunched it after we completely sold out last month. I've been on YouTube inspiring people with stories for 5 years now, and I'm making my own creations and my own brand to continue that mission. I've seen enough to know that you aren't going to get lucky. You aren't going to blow up overnight. You aren't going to walk into heaven without having gone through hell to get there. That's why I wear these necklaces every single day. The power of the necklace reminds me that the only thing crazier than focusing on my goals is sitting on my ass doing nothing. We're all sitting here watching videos about successful artists and people who make music that changes the world. I want to motivate all of you to pursue your own dreams and never give up. The necklace is a symbol of that belief. There isn't success without failure. Whatever you want to be, a rapper, a producer, a photographer, student, writer, entrepreneur, anything. The sun rises every day and we all get a new chance to work hard and embrace our own adventure, and Spirit World is the jewelry that represents that story. So right now, the Spirit of Creativity is available again and with free shipping in the US. As a thank you for watching this far into the video, you can use the code VOLKSGANG for a discount under order. So go to spiritworld.store, show some huge support to Volksgeist, and get a beautiful piece of jewelry. Thank you so much for your support. Once again, that's spiritworld.store.